The Legend of Sangkuriang. Once upon a time, there are a god which were detained for breaking the rules. He is then punished to live the rest of his life in the world while doing good deeds. When on earth, he turned into a dog and named Timong. Timong was owned by a king named Sangkuriang and live in the palace. Both become good friend, and stick like a glue. One day, King Suming decided to go for hunt to the nearest forest. When he was hunting in the forest, he heard a baby crying, looked for it, and found a beautiful baby girl. He took the baby to the palace and adopted her as his daughter and named Dayang Sumbi. Long story short, Dayang Sumbi grew up to be the loveliest girl in the country. Lots of princes quarreled and fought over her. Dayang Sumbi, who felt uncomfortable, chose to remain silent and move to the middle of nowhere where no one knows her. There she lives only with Timong, her best friend. She spent her life weaving clothes with traditional looms she has. One day the loom was fallen to the ground and she was too lazy to pick it up. She swore to herself, anyone who brought her the loom, if she's a girl then she will consider her as her sister, and if he was a man then she would marry him. Suddenly, Timong appeared and bring her the loom. As her promised, she married Timong. As his husband, Timong revealed himself and turned himself to be a lovely god only when the full moon comes. Dayang Sumbi then became pregnant in no time. The king was so angry to hear about this. He casted her out of his family name and told her to live far away from the palace. Long story short, Dayang Sumbi has a prettiest baby boy you could ever see. She named him Sangkuriang. He grew up to be a decent, strong, pretty guy who loves her mother without knowing that the dog who happened to stay with him all along was his father. One day, Dayang Sumbi sent Sangkuriang to go for hunt. She told her son that she wanted a deer heart for dinner. Sangkuriang took Timong to go with him. Yet, he couldn't found any deer after 3 days of hunting. He was too afraid of going home with an empty hand. Suddenly, he saw a pig and asked Timong to take it. But Timong remained silent. Sangkuriang was very angry and at his bow and arrow at Timong. Before he died, Timong asked him to get his heart to give to his mother. This young man wept bitterly because he could not stand the sadness of losing his best friend. He took Timong's heart as he wished and returned to his mother's house. Dayang Sumbi was so happy to have her son back. Yet, she was curious why didn't Timong came along. She asked Sangkuriang where Timong was, but Sangkuriang kept silent and didn't tell the truth. Dayang Sumbi, who have a good instinct, found out that it was Timong's heart. She hit Sangkuriang on his head and then casted him out. Time flew by. Sangkuriang has grown up to be a good-looking man with well-built body. Meanwhile, Dayang Sumbi, who was a descendant of goddess, was given an eternal beauty and stays forever young. Sangkuriang, who wandered anywhere, one day reached his house, yet he couldn't remember that it was his former residence. Dayang Sumbi didn't recognize him either when they met around the house. They both fell in love and planned to get married soon. On the day of their marriage, Dayang Sumbi fixed Sangkuriang's bang. She found a scar on his head and remembered her old forgotten son. Dayang Sumbi then called out the marriage and explained everything to Sangkuriang. Blinded by his love, Sangkuriang couldn't take the explanation and kept resisting marrying his own mom. He even threatened that he will destroy everything he found. Dayang Sumbi, who knew that Sangkuriang has such god power, felt threatened with it. She then thought of an idea on how to defect the marriage. She gave Sangkuriang a term that she thought he won't be able to fulfill. In order to marry her, he needed to build her a huge lake along with the boat just in a night. If he could fulfill it, then she would marry him. Dayang Sumbi, who didn't expect that to happen, was so surprised and thought of an idea. She made a huge fire in the east to decoy Sangkuriang, so he thought the dawn had coming. Dayang Sumbi, who didn't expect that to happen, was so surprised and thought of an idea. She made a huge fire in the east to decoy Sangkuriang, so he thought the dawn had coming. The genies that thought it was the dawn were afraid of the sunlight, run away and left Sangkuriang alone. Sangkuriang was so mad that couldn't finish his work. The coconut shell he used to dig the ground was thrown to the east and becomes Mount Manglayang. Sangkuriang kicked away the boat he made and apparently it was laid down on the back. The boat then turned into Mount Tangkuban Parahu. Tangkuban Parahu literally means upside down boat.